Welcome to the members monthly meeting for July. I'm delighted for the participation again this month. I see people are signing on as we speak. We do commit to start on the hour and end on the hour, so I think we will get underway, and that gives us the opportunity to be able to get through the agenda in a timely way. My name is Dwight Mahalitz. I'm your host for this meeting. I'm the past chair of the CMC-Global Institute, and have been taking on the role of coordinating the special events. This will be moving over to the membership committee later on during this year, but I'm just delighted to have this opportunity to host these sessions as our new chair is setting up the activities for the membership committee. We have a standing agenda. The first agenda item we always have is an update from our chair. Unfortunately, Tamara is not with us, so I will give you a bit of an update, but not as full as she might have. We then go on to our special agenda of a topic of general interest. And for that one, I'm very interested to hear from you about topics that would be of interest to you. So we select one each week. We'll be soon coming to the one that we're talking about today. But if you have any ideas, if you have any questions, if you think there's anything that would be useful to explore, we'd be delighted to set that up with one of our sessions. We then meet two members. We try to meet one of our general members and one of our members from the board or one of our committee members. And in those two sessions, you can learn a bit about some of your colleagues and the practices that they're in, so we can build an understanding of each other. I know it's not as good as being in the same room and sharing information with each other in that way, but we can move ahead. I'm sorry, someone wanted to chat with me about something? Oh, okay, someone was probably muting their microphone. So let's move on to the agenda. In terms of the overview, it has been a busy month for us because following our last monthly members meeting where we talked about strategy, we have been developing the strategic plan for CMC Global Institute, and Tamara has been taking the lead on that, and we'll actually be talking about that in a bit of a different way today. We're also continually working on making it easier for new members to join and to improve the certification process so that people are welcomed in and supported in moving through the certification. So Tamara, I know, has been very involved in that, as have all of your board members in working through how we can bring that together. We're also improving and increasing the number of people that are involved on boards and committees. So if any of you have any interest in becoming involved in that way, please do be in touch with me. As the past chair, part of my role is to recruit members for committees, and we really do appreciate that support whenever we can get it. So that brings us to the general topic area today. Get myself organized here. This is what we sent in the blurb. So those of you that are attending today were attracted by this information. So the starting point, and Tamara had suggested that we have this on, and she's indisposed today. A family incident came up that she had to be not here, so she asked me to give you her apologies and if I would stand in. The question is what does it mean to be a member of CMC-GI? We're a new institute. We have a number of different... Yeah, thank you. I just noticed that somebody's phone rang and they put it on mute. So if we all just by practice kept our phone on mute, that would be, kept our computer on mute, that would be excellent. And that way we don't accidentally interfere with each other. So we have many new members to GI. And we know that as a starting point to become a CMC, or a certified management consultant, one needs to be a member in an institute. So that's the kind of the founding part. But there's much more to it than that. So what we wanted to do today is have a bit of a discussion with you, the members that are present, to talk about what you think about the membership and how you can get the best out of your membership in GI. So because we have a number of members on, we are going to have a round table. So this is your warning. I've got 2 or 3 slides here where I'd like to give you a little bit of the thinking from the GI perspective so far. And then what I will do is ask each of you to give me your thoughts in terms of what you see as the important, as being important for you to get out of your membership in GI. So the starting point for CMC Global Institute is that we are a virtual institute. So if you look at this map, you see all of the gold areas there. Each one of those is a country that has a national institute. And that national institute is an organization. It's a not-for-profit organization, so it's not in business to make money. Its business is bringing together all of the management consultants in the country as members and certifying them as certified management consultants. So at the moment, we have 49 members. A 50th was recently approved and will soon be announced. So we have 50 countries where we have national institutes of management consultants, and they are an association of consultants working together to improve the profession within their countries. But the white spaces on this map are all of those places where there are no national institutes. So our role is to provide those exact same services to management consultants in every other part of the world. So if you're in any one of those white spaces, as you are as members here, and would like to be a member of a professional association and would like to go through the steps to become certified, then this is the way to do it. Of course, it's not as convenient as if we're all in the same geographical area and able to come together for these kinds of meetings over breakfast or over a lunch. Wouldn't that be nice? But on the other hand, it provides us opportunities to meet with people from different cultures, different geographies, different languages, different understandings of practices, so that we can share and learn from each other. On this map, also our parent body, which is CMC Global, keeps track of any country where the institute, that's us, has more than 3 members. So as you will see in Moldova in the center of the map, and United Arab Emirates in the bottom, and just above Africa there, you can see that that we have more than 3 members in those 2 areas. So anywhere where we have 3 or more members, we can show the blue. So that's why we titled this one filling in the white spaces. So the mission then of our parent body, which is CMC Global, is pretty straightforward. So we want to be a leader in the development of management consulting. So of course, if we're all about management consulting, we want to be the leader, and we want to be ensured that in terms of that leadership, we're a global profession which is driving social and economic success. So we are involved in the mechanisms of success in various organizations and bodies throughout the world. And as management consultants, we have a very important role in that. So we do want to embrace that leadership and ensure that we're helping to drive these matters as we go forward. So the last slide I have, and then we're going to, just in the order of that you've logged on, we will do a bit of a round table. So the global mission then of our mission, the first one is to elevate the standards of management consulting. So we're very interested that as management consultants, all of our colleagues, that we understand that we work to a certain level of standards that sets us aside from someone who might just print up a business card and say they're a management consultant, as opposed to having the rigor of the profession that we believe in. The second is that we support the creation and development of management consulting institutes. So while we're filling in the white spaces, if we get to a point where there's a large enough group of individuals in a country that they can form their own association and become their own institute, then we would encourage that. So we see ourselves as a step in the direction of creating your own national institute. The third is to create information sharing and networking between consultants. So this event that we have each month is part of that. And then the fourth is to provide services and to provide you access to services. So things like professional development, recertification, perhaps collaborating on business opportunities, and so on. So in terms of the development of our strategic plan, we see this as our mission. So keeping our members together and working with our members and helping you to elevate your professionalism all become very important parts of that. So I'm sure I didn't do as good a job as Tamara would have in that overview, but I would like to now open it to the floor, because I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say as members in terms of what do you see as the impact and the benefits of membership in CMC Global Institute. So I'm just looking at the participant list here. So Tuya, I see that you're on the top of my list. Can I call on you to give me your impressions based on this introduction and what you feel you should be getting out of membership? You will have to unmute your microphone if you're trying to.
Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
Yeah. And as a membership of GI, I would like to, of course, to get the latest information on management consultancy, which is very important for my country's case, which is, you know, the consulting industry is just growing, and although in recent years it's rapid. So new, you know, best practices sharing and latest trends in information technology tools, and this kind of, you know, exposure will be quite important to me. And our institute has applied to become provisional member, and hoping that we get positive reply soon, and that I think will give us more opportunities. So
Okay.
I think that's it for now.
No, that's a very good interview to you. Thank you. Overview. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. We'll skip over the board members, but I will come back to any board members that are on the line to get any feedback that they might have as well. Otto, you're next on my list. Have you any comments for us to continue the discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Dwight. Good morning, everyone. I would say to me is a lot about one, recognition, recognition in terms of differentiating ourselves from, as you say, other people who may have a lot of experience, functional or as even sometimes as CEOs, but that does not necessarily mean that they can tackle on a transformation on a company. So that's one. When you, I have a, I'm sorry, I have a Big Four background, and when you are in one of the Big Four, you don't need that much anyone validating, but we are in a world now of certifications and third parties certifying that you do know what you are doing. So in that sense, the certification and the recognition that comes with it, I think it's important for the ones, us that have smaller companies, regional and local companies. I think that an individual consultant, I think that is very important. And also, I would say more than that, even more important than that, is the professional development. Usually, we are called upon companies to fix what everyone else doesn't know how to fix, essentially. So we need to be at the forefront of what is the best way to fix or do or supply the client with a solution for in different areas. And that means that you need to be studying constantly to be, you know, if you are doing a consulting stuff on something that you already have so many books, you're probably not in the right field. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a forum for people that is in this profession to share what they are doing and be able to learn from each other in order to make our practice more competitive and have essentially more learning and professional development resources. That would be it.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent insights. Just looking at my list here, we want to go down and be fair to people. Valerio, you're next on my list here. Have you anything you'd like to add to that conversation? Tuya, you're back. Your microphone is live again. Jon, I see that your microphone is not muted, so why don't we turn to you as a board member? Any perspectives you have from the professional development perspective?
Good morning, Jon Pascoe joining you. I have a brief presentation coming up on professional development. Feel very strongly that we have our challenges as a virtual institute in terms of language and geography and distance education, priorities, and so on. Keen to speak with you about that toward the end of the hour, and then coming up at the next monthly members meeting, a bit more of an extended session.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Oleg or Valerio, if you do have anything you'd like to add, just raise your hand or turn your microphone on and start talking, and we'll get you in there. It may be that you're having. Also, Nicolay, I see that you're on, so I would very much appreciate your perceptions. I know it's very difficult to do this. We're not in the same room as the figures on my screen here might be. Harold, as chair of membership committee, can I ask if you have any insights you'd like to add?
They're probably covered in the slides coming up, so I don't know if you want to proceed to that or wait for a moment longer with exploring with others.
I think that's a good idea. Let's move to those slides, and then we can continue the discussion after you've gone through those.
Sure. Okay, so just as background meeting, as Dwight has mentioned, I'm the incoming chair of the membership committee. It's a committee, as I understand it, that has been inactive for a while, other than these monthly membership meetings, but we want to expand the activities of that group. And one of the key things to look at is really what are the members receiving, or what would they like to receive as benefits from their being a member of the Global Institute. And that was really the focus of a proposed conversation we were going to have last week, where we had a number of people signed up to participate. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, only a couple of people actually joined the meeting, and so we're looking at trying to reschedule that. But it's exactly the question that Dwight has been asking just now, on what is the value that you're getting from the Global Institute. And I heard the response given so far from the members around knowing what the latest trends are, knowing what kind of tools that they can use for their own management consulting, differentiation around the certification, and then also professional development. But we'd like to explore that some more in an upcoming roundtable. So if there are people that would like to participate in that, we would really welcome that. The proposed date is Wednesday, July 19th at 1300 hours UTC, and to really go through a series of questions for a couple of hours. If you can go to the next slide. And so the experience, I've been involved actually with the Institute in Canada since probably the mid-'80s, and have played a number of roles in that organization over time, and at one time was chair of the executive committee. We did a lot of research and thinking and talking with members, at least within that National Institute at the time, and what it seemed to come down to in terms of buckets of questions that people were asking around their membership were the ones that are listed here. And so it's really a starting point or a framework to ask those same types of questions of the members of the Global Institute and say, you know, what benefit do you think you are getting at the moment? And secondly, what kind of benefit or what kind of things might you envisage that the Global Institute could think about potentially offering over the next year or so, or start working on over the next year or so. And at this point, we're just really getting member feedback to wrap our own minds around, from a member perspective, what are the things that would be most useful to the members. And so those 5 questions that we typically find are people saying, okay, so if I become a member, what's that do for my bottom line? And certainly one of the things that was mentioned around differentiating against other people would be one aspect of that, but there may well be other things. Sometimes people talk about referring business to one another or flagging opportunities or things of that nature. So that's that first question. The second one is, how do I keep up to date in the profession? And that really is around the questions of professional development. What are some of the key learnings that others may have had? What are some of the tools or methodologies or approaches? How can we learn from one another? And so maybe there are some things that might be useful to Jon and his group around professional development. The third question is the one around networking, making useful connections with other consultants. That could be for any number of reasons. It could be just for, again, trading information. It could be trading information around best practices or key learnings, but it could also be just even in terms of geographies. If someone's looking at doing something internationally, what has the experience been of other people? And it can also be if someone has global opportunities or international opportunities where they want a larger team and where they want to bring other people into being part of that team, or let's say it's work for a multinational where you have to span geographies, then this is a good way to network and to get to meet other people or to know who they're all about and what kind of skill sets they have. And as one possible way of putting together a consulting team rather than just going from scratch. The fourth one was how to run your consulting practice better. So that's everything from what was mentioned earlier around technology tools. Are there technology tools that would help me run my practice better? It's really about how do I run my business better. It could be, you know, digital marketing types of questions. It could be, you know, how do I do my accounting? Whatever it is around actually running your consulting business and questions such as that. And then the final one is that some national institutes also have preferred supplier relationships. So for example, professional liability insurance, if they go as an association to an insurance provider or insurance broker, that because it's kind of a bulk buying effort, that they can offer better rates than if somebody just went individually. And that could be across potentially a range of different things, whether it's insurance or automobiles or things of that nature. The other thing actually that just came to mind in terms of connections with other consultants is one of the other areas that had been explored is also connections with other professional organizations. And so that's another area to explore. So as an example, one area might be around Professional Management Institute, PMI, which is quite pervasive globally. And while we are in the business, I guess, of designing solutions, the PMI folks would definitely be in the world of implementation of projects. And so there may well be points of overlap in the Venn diagram where there might be useful areas to collaborate on. So those were sort of the questions that we threw up there, and those are the ones that we would want to dig in more to do some brainstorming around and get an idea of the GI membership to say, well, so what's important to you out of your membership, and what are some of the things that the Global Institute might want to start thinking more about. So back to you, Dwight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have trouble getting my microphone off mute there. Excellent. That was a very good overview. So I've gone back a slide after accidentally going forward one, but here you see going back a slide. So this event is on July 19th. It's up to 2 hours. It would be an excellent opportunity to really roll up our sleeves and understand more about this and how the Institute can help you more, help you better. So thank you, Harold, for organizing this. I think this is an excellent initiative. Several of us that are on the line now have signed up for that. Well, actually, Tuya, I see that you have, and Otto, you've signed up for that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Abdullah from UAE is also signed on. Ala Oberst and Vlad Furdi have also signed on, so that's really good. Valeriu, if you were at all able to attend this session, that would be wonderful, because given your situation with Moldova and the large numbers that came in, if you and perhaps one or two of your colleagues from there were able to join this session, I think that would be also very helpful. I'll follow up with you on that on email to see whether we can arrange that. But if any of you that are on the line are also able to join, that would be very, very much appreciated, because this is really important work. Okay, so that closes that session of our event, right on the half hour, exactly as we have scheduled. We're next joining the Meet the Members session. Scheduled today was Modesta, who's a consultant working in Botswana. She and I have been in contact over the last few days setting this up, and she was intending to be here, but is not on. So I'm sorry about that. She does have difficulty sometimes with the internet connection, so possibly something has happened there. So my apologies for this. So we will put Modesta on the list for an introduction at some future time. I'm really anxious to understand her consulting practice and learn a bit about more her and her adventures in consulting in Africa. So we'll come back to Modesta. That brings you up a few minutes earlier than scheduled, John. I will now hand it over to you. I can manage the slides for you, and just welcome. We'd like to hear a bit about yourself and your practice, and of course about your activities with CMC-Global Institute.
Sure, thank you. Just moving on to the next slide. Welcome to this part of the presentation. A bit of my background: undergraduate degree in psychology, MA or master's in medical sociology. Live and work on Vancouver Island, so I'm connecting with you from far Western Canada, as far actually as you can get next to the Pacific Ocean. So essentially everybody starts earlier than me, but I end later. Strong believer in continuing professional development, continuing education. In the past, an adjunct professor, certified health executive, a chartered professional in human resources, which is a designation in Canada, a fellow certified management consultant, been a certified management consultant since the early 90s, and then have increasingly been involved in excellence and in accreditation. So next slide. Canada is looking at renewing our competency profile. So I'm involved with a number of other registrars across the country and are meeting in latter part of August to initiate that process. I have done a lot of volunteer work and consulting work in governance and was the chair of our local hospital, 241-bed hospital here on Vancouver Island, the Governance and Nominations Committee. Was a registrar. The Alberta Canada Institute actually is quite fortunate in terms of actually having legislation to operate under, and was the registrar from 2010 to 2012, and I was the board member for about a half a dozen years prior to that. So strongly connected with the management consulting community, both in the province that I used to live and work in, and now in British Columbia, Canada. So the next slide, you may be aware that Canada just celebrated its 150th anniversary of independence, of Confederation, and here are two pugs. My wife and I basically adopt orphaned pugs and bring them back to good physical and mental health. So you can see that they're wearing their patriotic colors. My areas of special interest are governance and management and leadership, strategic and operational planning, HR. Been doing a fair amount of accreditation work over the years, dating back to about the 80s. Project management. Have completed a couple of assignments consulting overseas in Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, and then I'm going back to Abu Dhabi in October to do the, in all likelihood, the healthcare section of the Government Excellence Program. Really finding that to be exceptionally valuable, particularly working in a different culture and sometimes a different language, and then of course healthcare. Enough about me talking about the Program and Professional Development Committee. Dwight approached me about 3 months or so ago to take on that portfolio. We members, and I'll introduce them in a moment, feel really strongly about virtual professional development. Our role is to determine your requirements or your needs, and so there's a very close tie-in, as mentioned before by Harold, as far as membership services, looking at programs and services, recommending enhancements, organizing member events and meetings. And Otto and I will talk a little bit in a month's time, hopefully he's available, about some of the professional development and networking and peer group opportunities, looking at proposals through other institutes of management consulting, and then working with the board and the committees to reinforcing, moving backward to what Dwight's comments were, to enhancing management consulting standards. We see that through a really strong professional development program, there's an opportunity to increase our standards, whether it be with the now mandatory ethics course, and we'll talk about that shortly, essentials of management consulting, so the entry course as far as fundamentals, and there are a fair number of others which I'll present to you in an introductory sense in upcoming slide. Our committee members, reflecting the international nature of CMC-Global Institute from China, Canada, Netherlands, and Costa Rica. In the next slide, here's an opportunity. I would hope, if Dwight, we could just open it up to the floor in an introductory sense, and then have a more fulsome discussion about it in the latter part of August. I wanted to speak with you about some of the course offerings that we are considering. Certainly have our challenges as far as language and virtual learnings and the tremendous promise but limitations of technology, of standards, of you name it. Offering professional development through our virtual institute is considerably more challenging, but not impossible. considerably more challenging than getting everybody together in one room. But here are some of the courses that we're looking at. The new ISO standards have just been released, and we're hoping to be at the forefront of introducing them to you, of training, offering training opportunities, of assisting you to implement them, and providing feedback and continuing revisions and improvement. Project management, negotiating skills, obviously we all use those in our day-to-day work as management consultants and otherwise. Personal and interpersonal competencies, communication, facilitation, group management skills. Organizational change management certainly is hot these days, and we're proposing to offer one or more courses on change management. Mentoring similarly is hot and topical these days. So what's the difference between mentoring and coaching? How do you transfer knowledge? And then apropos to our discussion today, managing virtual teams. That gives you a sense in terms of some of the course offerings that we are entertaining. Interested in your thoughts as far as other ones that you'd like to see offered. We will be coming out shortly with a survey of all members, and part of the August the 29th meeting will be to talk about the results of that survey. So that survey should be out within the next couple of days, all things being equal. Will be shared with you, with the board of directors, with the committee, and that will serve to prioritize our offerings, because there are literally dozens of courses that we could offer. We really strongly feel that professional development is the value added for your membership or involvement in this association. So keen to turn the microphone over to anybody who is interested in contributing as far as the kind of courses that we might offer, the length, the cost, thank you, back to this slide, the length, the cost, the medium, the overall focus, introductory or advanced. Interested in anybody on the line offering some suggestions as far as what you would see as being priority areas, both for aspiring, those who want to pursue the CMC designation. And shortly we'll be getting information to you about pretty ambitious recertification requirements. So every 3 years you need to do this, that, and that, and be able to present it to the registrar as being complete. So interested in your thoughts about potential recertification courses. So if there's an opportunity just for anybody to jump in and offer their comments now, that would be much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. That was very good, John. Much appreciated. So I will open it then to the floor. And any feedback for John? Any comments? Any suggestions from this list or others that you might imagine being on this list? What would you see as the priority for training that you would like to see is available through the Institute? Well, John, it sounds like you have a pretty comprehensive list here. The survey will be coming out. This is a way for you to be a bit more pensive in terms of what you would see as the professional development future for the Institute, and your input on that would be very, very much appreciated. John, or Harold, any closing comments from either of you in terms of the content that we've gone over today?
Not particularly. There's, of course, a close tie-in between the Professional Development Committee and the Certification Committee. That's the committee that's chaired by the registrar. So essentially, in this institute, as is the case with others, the Certification Committee and the registrar set standards, and then it's left to the Professional Development Committee to deliver on how those standards are attained. One of our biggest issues, of course, is cost, and so we'll be asking you about that. Is the time commitment, the kinds of standards that you feel need to be reinforced, how the profession renews or refreshes itself, so the ISO 20,700 standards, and so on. So we really look forward to serving you and providing a value-added benefit to your membership.
Thank you, John. Harold, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, so I think the only other comment would be that certainly membership is sort of your one-stop shopping go-to point for any member that is looking at either offering up ideas or trying to get more value out of their membership. There's an overlap between this committee and pretty much anything else that the Institute does. So clearly there's a connecting point with professional development, which is definitely one of the member benefits. There's a connecting point with the certification committee, which again is another benefit, is that certification. And also even marketing in terms of trying to expand the number of members that are part of the Global Institute. So it really is in many ways part of that overall networking spider's web connection with other things. And so I would encourage you, if there are things that you want to talk about or explore or brainstorm about or muse about, just shoot me an email. You can, I guess, contact Dwight or Tamara, whose emails I'm sure you have already, to get my email if you need it.
That would be great, yes. And we really would like your participation in that. So please, probably the easiest thing to do is just to reply to the notice of this meeting, which I sent around on Sunday and again earlier this morning. So earlier today, your time. So reply to that, and I'll forward that to Harold with a copy to you, so that you'll have each other's emails. Thank you. Yes, we can come back to this one. That slide we were already on. So the members' monthly meeting, our next meeting will be Tuesday, August the 8th at 1300 UTC. So the same starting time. It's the second Tuesday of each month. The log-on information is always the same. You see it here. And this morning I created a bit.ly link for you. So it's GIMMM. So Global Institute Members Monthly Meeting. So or GIM. So it'll be a little easier for you to get your log. But please do join us. It's really important, and let your colleagues know about the meetings and the value that we can get here. Our next event after that is our special webinar. Jon mentioned this already. This is going to be an outline of the professional development program. So starting with your survey, so your responses to the survey is really important. This summer, he and his committee will be working hard to lay out the professional development program for the coming year and following that. So please do participate, get that ball rolling, and then come back and join us at the end of August to hear the results. Later on in September, we will also have a special webinar with Vasantha, who's the chair of our certification committee, and she's going to be addressing us in terms of the steps and the requirements for recertification. So as professional consultants, not unlike any other profession, once we're certified, we also have a commitment then to our colleagues in our profession that we keep our standards up to date. And the Institute is very concerned to provide you the support to do that, but also that you do go through those steps appropriately and ensure that we're always using best practices. So Vasantha will be addressing that with us then. So that brings us just a bit ahead of schedule to the end. We're missing the 12 or 15 minutes that Modesta would have introduced herself. So we will invite her to a future meeting. So any final questions or comments from anyone that's on the line before we log off?
Dwight, this is Otto.
Hi, Otto.
Just a comment.
Mm-hmm.
We will be regarding the BPP of last month's meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Just to remind everyone to send me an email. I have some people already, some members who have shown interest in the best practices and projects meetings. And I won't get into the details on that, but anyone interested, just make sure that you have dropped me a line so that I build the distribution list and start. I will probably start this week asking them to fill out the requirements in order to move forward with this.
Wonderful, yes, and this is an excellent example. Otto has taken the leadership on the best practices and projects program where we as members of the Institute can come together and share information in a confidential way that can help each of us build on our own experience and improve our own practices. So thank you for that, Otto. Again, if you don't have Otto's email, just reply stating your interest and I'll put you in touch with Otto. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll call this meeting to a close, and thank you again for participation. It's been an excellent session as always. Thank you, and we'll be in touch next month.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.